In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the rear brakes on your Honda Pilot. Let's get started. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to remove the lug nuts. Remove the wheel. Using a 12mm socket, remove the caliper bolts. Remove the bolts. I'm going to grab the caliper and pull it slightly forward, and then remove it off of the bracket. Put this somewhere where there will be no tension on the hose. Right up here, it can sit on the top control arm. Remove the pads out of the bracket. Using a 14mm socket, we're going to remove the caliper bracket bolts. Remove the bolts and the bracket. Remove the shims off of the caliper bracket. Using a wire brush, we're going to clean the valleys of the brackets. Remove the pins out of the caliper. We're going to clean these off. If you have a lot of corrosion built up on the end of the pins like this, you can bring a wire wheel to them or a wire brush and clean them off. I'm going to go to a little wire wheel right now and clean these two off. Put a skim coat of grease on the slide pins. And then install them into the caliper bracket. Make sure the boot is fully over the pin. And I like to move them around, work them around, make sure they're not stuck, and make sure they'll actually function correctly. I'm going to put a light skim coat of grease on the bottom of these valleys, anywhere that the shim is going to contact. I like to take a rag and wipe off in between the two and get any extra grease. Any grease that sits in between here could hit the rotor when you put it on. Install the shims onto the caliper bracket. And you're ready to go onto the car. Using a Phillips head screwdriver, we're going to remove the two screws for the rotor. On the sides of the rotors, there's two threaded holes. These will fit an extra bolt if you have one. I'm going to screw it in. Then we're going to use a little drill and push it farther, and as we push the screw in, it's going to push against the hub and push the rotor off. And I'm just going to go back side to side doing this. And then remove our rotor. Using a wire brush, clean the surface of the hub. Using a clean rag and some parts cleaner, we're going to clean the surface of the rotor. Spray it down, wipe it off. Flip the rotor over. And do the same thing. Install the caliper bracket onto the vehicle and get the bolt started. Torque the caliper bracket bolts to 41 foot-pounds. Install the pads into the caliper bracket. Using a piston compressor tool or a large pair of pliers, we're going to push back the caliper piston. When you do this, you want to do it nice and slowly. You don't want to force a bunch of fluid back really quick. And get the caliper into the fully retracted position, and then install it onto the caliper bracket. Install the bolts. Torque the caliper bolts to 27 foot-pounds. Install the rotor screws. If you had a rubber plug in your old rotor, go ahead and swap that over now. We did not, so we will not be installing it. Install the wheel. Get the lug nuts started. Snug them down. Torque the lug nuts in a star pattern to 80 foot-pounds. And you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.